suppose if you'd said to me when I was 100 grand in debt, would I one day be earning 6 or 7 grand a month? It's been very hard to imagine that or even believe that was even possible, but I didn't really think about it. I just thought about the next level on the pay plan, or the next distributor, or the next period, and you just got to do it in small, bite-sized chunks. So you can't always think about having a yacht in the Mediterranean if someone's trying to repossess your house. But what you can do is you can, well, try and get rid of the bailiff, but what you can do is you can think about the next 90 days, and that's a bit easier. So what I try to do is teach people to think about the next 90 days, and if you develop the right habits in 90-day periods, over time, it will change your life. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, a sponsoring story about someone I sponsored back in the early days of the business, who was a customer of mine, and she was actually sending some goods back. She had a return, and I actually gave her boyfriend a video, like the old VHS video, if you remember that, it's that long ago, and he took this video, and he was a bit of an idiot actually, I must say. He said, she won't be interested, so we'll give it anyway. So anyway, to cut a long story short, she joined, and I was giving her the kit, and she said, yeah, but what if it doesn't work? What if I don't like it? Can I get my money back? And I said, I don't normally talk about that, but there was a money back guarantee, so I said, yeah, if you really thought it was the biggest mistake you ever made in your life, you can get your money back. So she said to me, oh, okay, then I'll give it 14 days, she said. So I came out of her flat, and I thought, God, where do I get these bloody people from, And I wasn't very positive. I was more positive than she was, but not that much more positive. But so I didn't know what to expect but I didn't really hold much hopes. I didn't really think that I'd found my next winner. But I'll just show you who she is. Interestingly enough, that's her there. I assume you've all seen, most of you have seen her before. Well, she now earns, she's a single parent mum, and she now earns about 50 grand a year in the business. That's her best check at the end of last year. But she's getting massive growth in her business. And the reason why I tell you that story is it's all a matter of what your perspective is. You see, when I left her flat, I couldn't possibly have known, first of all, I couldn't possibly have known how good I would get at the business. I didn't know that back then, but I certainly didn't know how good she would become at the business. And you're probably going to sponsor some people into your business, maybe next week, or next month, or next year, and you have no idea about how good they could be in the business. Well, maybe you do have now that I've told you the story, but try to believe in the people you bring into the business, because it's really actually quite important. Because I wasn't that positive back in the early days. I was probably in a pretty difficult financial position, so it was difficult to be happy and jolly and positive all the time. But you've got to try to be like that and try to believe in the people that you introduce, because they have enormous potential in the business. And now Abby is as good as anybody I know in the business. So it's amazing how things can turn around. That's the point. Okay, now can you see the future? The title of this training is Visions of a Better Future. Can you see your future? And I love the story about the guy. There was a guy in his 20s, and he was a bit fed up and a bit down on his luck, and a bit skint. So he went to see a medium, and she looked into her crystal ball, and he said to her, what does the future hold for me? And she looked at him and she said, well, you're going to be skint and broke and fed up and miserable until you're aged 45. He went, oh. He said, well, what happens when I'm 45? He asked her optimistically. She said, oh, then you get used to it. And in reality, that's how a lot of people live their lives. They start off, they leave school, and they've got lots of aspirations, lots of dreams, lots of goals, but it gets knocked out of them. It gets completely knocked out of them, and they lose confidence in the future, and they lose their optimism for the future. And I think one of the things that Clean Easy does, it keeps you young. I still keep thinking I'm 25, and I keep thinking I keep thinking about the future and what the future holds optimistically, and that comes because of the philosophy of the business. So it's really important that you don't give up on your dreams and your goals, and that you keep those firmly in your sights when you're building the business. So this is a picture of us when we won the New Business Trophy and the Distributor of the Year, and then last year we won the SED Trophy, as Dave said. So again, we wouldn't have known that. 13 years ago, if you'd said to me, you'll be a trophy winner, you'll be Distributor of the Year, I wouldn't have believed you. So this is a picture of Kev, Ryder and Abby in New York. They just sat there thinking about how they're going to spend the money. This is my son. Now I'm going to rattle through this, but this is my son when he was 17. He's now 18. And I call him Half Pint for obvious reasons. But he's just finishing his A-levels, and what happened was he goes to a private school where the fees are 10 grand a year. It's a lot of money to pay. And when he was probably about 6 or 7, we went to one of those parent-teacher things where they tell you, you know, how well your kids are doing at school. And they were really kind of like, he was really disorganised, and he was struggling with reading, and he was struggling with just about everything. And I just thought this woman was just totally negative. And because I was in network marketing, and because I was in the business, I was kind of like trained to think more positively than the information she was giving me about my son. And because it was about my son, I got really, really annoyed and really, really angry with this teacher. I didn't like have a row with the teacher, but when we came out of the school, I said to Karen, I said to her, look, I'm going to get him out of that school and put him in a private school, a better school, because you know, she kind of said it like the teacher. She wasn't like a bad person or anything like that. She kind of said it sympathetically, and I just thought, I don't need your sympathy, love. I just need a better plan. You know, I just need a better strategy. So we were talking about this afterwards, and Karen said to me, but we haven't got any money. I said, well, I'll get the money. I'll do whatever it takes, and I'll get the money. And when my eldest son went to the private school, because he went to private school as well, I got another job, actually. I went full-time cleaning, but I did another sales job. And it was like selling things door to door, and I was supposed to do that full-time. I never ever did it full-time. I used to do it for about 2 or 3 hours, and then I used to get a few sales and then go home. But because I didn't have enough money, I went in and got money just to pay the school fees. And sometimes we used to fall behind with the school fees. We didn't pay them on time and stuff like that. But it didn't matter because I knew that they would put up with it for a while. So I got my eldest son through private school, and then I got Ryan. But Ryan now is in class sizes of about 10. I think now he's in the 6th form. His class is about 6 people or something. And they're telling us now that he's probably going to get 3 A stars, and they're telling him to go to Cambridge. So don't ever think Clean Easy won't change your life. It will change your life, and it will change your kids' lives as well if you've got a strong enough reason. Because I just made a decision that I wasn't going to accept what that teacher was telling me, and I was going to get a better outcome for him. And it's a credit to him. He goes into the school, and he goes, it's a boarding school, he doesn't board, but he goes in and he's actually commandeered his own classroom, which he calls his office, and he goes in there till 8 o'clock at night. Like he'll be home now, but he'll have been there till 8 o'clock tonight, sitting in what he calls his office, doing his research. He's just done a thesis as well, because he's doing like an AS level as well, which is like an extra subject. But he's like absolutely flying through school, and that's all come about because of the philosophy of the business. We didn't push him. We listened to their reports for 4 years, even at the private school, and they all said what the previous school had said. And I used to say, is this like, does he realise how much money this is costing us? And she said, oh, he'll be fine, he'll be fine, he'll be fine. And then about a year and a half ago, it all just turned around. And he just started getting incredible grades and stuff like that. But it's not really about the grades, it's about him, yeah, having the best chance in life. And that's what the business has given him. So a few months ago, I went out. Our daughter was having an 11th birthday party, and Karen says to me, look, I haven't got time to organise the recognition frames, because we have to go get recognition frames at the end of the period, because she was like busy organising this party, because we had all these like 10 girls coming around our house. I said, oh, don't worry, I'll get it. Just leave it with me. I'll go and get the recognition frames. Just leave it with me. So anyway, at this time, I was on a diet, a fasting diet, where you don't eat anything. And it's really interesting, because what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to get this amazing like mental clarity when you're on this fasting thing. So I'm driving down the car to get my recognition certificates, and I had this amazing moment of mental clarity, because I realised that I didn't really want to go and get the recognition frames, the picture frames, and I drove straight to a Mercedes garage instead. And then I couldn't do the deal with the Mercedes guy, so I went to another garage, and I went and I bought one of these. I bought a BMW, a 3-litre BMW, and I did it almost on a whim. And when I bought the car, we did the deal, and he gave me a lot more money for my Passat than the Mercedes guy was going to give me. That's why I got a BMW. But so then I went home, and I went to insure the car a couple of days later, and you have to ring up the insurance company. And they said to me, okay, Mr. Young, give us the registration number. So I gave them the number, And they said, so it's a 3-litre BMW. I said, no, it's a 2-litre BMW. I wouldn't have got a 3-litre because I only want a 2-litre. And she said, no, Mr. Young, it's a 3-litre BMW. I said, no, it can't possibly be. Well, I think I know the difference between a 3-litre and a 2-litre. So I said, hold on a second. So I went and got the documents out. I looked at it and sure enough, it was a 3-litre. So there you go. When you get a bit more money, you can just buy extra litres without even So really, what I've talked about, so just bear in mind that it will change your bank account, change your bank balance, change your car you drive, change the schools your kids go to, change the house you live in, anything you want it to change. It's up to you to decide what you want to change. But really, if you think about it, there's plenty of people in Clean Easy who've done it quicker and better than we have. But all we've done really is we've developed the right habits. That's really the bottom line. And the only way you can ever develop habits is to first find out what to do, which is knowledge. That's just what to do. And any one of you can find out what to do. Your upline will be happy to share that information with you. Once you've found out what to do, you then need to find out how to do it, which is skills. So you find out first what to do, second how to do it, by copying other people. And then thirdly, and most importantly, you need to find out why to do it, which I've talked about earlier. You need a strong reason why. And if you get those three things overlapping, what to do, how to do, and why to do, it just becomes a habit. And if you develop the right habits in Clean Easy, you can make a fortune. Because we're going to make a fortune. We know that. We expect it. We demand it. Now, one of the key things, which I'm going to finish on, I think this is the last one, is personal development. We're big on personal development. We believe that everybody has to develop themselves. I personally believe that no one in this room should settle for 400 quid a week or 500 quid a week. You can earn a lot more than that in Clean Easy, but you will need to develop yourself. And the quote here is that mind is the master weaver both of the inner garment of character and the outer garment of circumstance, which basically means that your outer world is just simply a reflection of your inner world. In other words, what's going on in your mind is creating your outward circumstance. And when I was 100 grand in debt, my outer world was absolutely a reflection of my inner world. But if you work on yourself by you read the books that Dave's got on the back table there, and you give it time, and as the final quote there is, continuous learning is the minimum requirement for success in any field. If you just do your best to develop yourself in the business and give it time, then I certainly do believe you can make a fortune. But ultimately, what you believe will create your reality. Thank you very much.